Welcome to Council.
I'll introduce myself. Do I have any indulgence? Am I always going to
No.
Okay, great. My name is Eleanor McMahon. I'm CEO of the Sherwood Cycling Coalition, which is a province-wide cycling advocacy and policy organization. I may have met, in fact, I think I have met a number of you. Your Worship, I think we met at AMO. We're at AMO every year, and we have a significant relationship with the municipal sector, as you might expect, and we work quite closely with AMO. So I think I see a few familiar faces around the table. I think we've encountered each other perhaps at AMO. So I'm here to talk a little bit tonight about certainly the work that we're doing, the cycling conversation in Ontario, what's happening at Queen's Park, and a little bit, of course, about an event. Now, those of you who are spot on and who are observant will see that I put October 13th up there, and I have to confess, I had a seniors moment. It's supposed to be November. So my apologies to the entire council. At my little snafu there, it's November the 13th and 14th, so we're going to talk about that. I want to talk a little bit about our organization so that you get a sense of the context and what we do and who we are. We are a network of over 5,000 stakeholders across the province. We work with a variety of partners to accomplish our objectives and to create the kind of bicycle-friendly communities that we are seeing now develop right across our province. And of course, we work with a number of government ministries at Queen's Park. I'll get to that in a moment. Cycling's on the move in our province. Many of you know. I think many of you are cyclists. You understand the dynamic that's happening. Over 600,000 people are on their bikes every day in our province. This is based on polling that we did and that we do every year. That's a significant number. Cycling's not a fringe activity. In the Globe and Mail this summer, they talked about cycling being the new golf, which if you get out on your bike and ride 100 kilometers on a Saturday is what you do. We call those people mammals, middle-aged men in Lycra. But there's lots of people who are riding their bikes to work every day, and children riding their bikes to school. So what do we do? Well, in essence, we do a lot of stuff, but we do three main nexus sort of centers of activity. We're all about advocacy, creating political champions. We announced an all-party cycling caucus at Queen's Park this year. I'll talk about that more in a moment. Of course, we're navigating a minority parliament, so that was a critical piece of infrastructure for us. We hold bike summits across the province. That's why we're holding one in partnership right in your backyard in November. We do a series of rides across the province. We work with the CAA on education, but primarily we're focused now on the new cycling strategy that was just launched. Minister Murray and I launched at the end of August, and we're working on a series of legislative changes that will be brought to the legislature, we hope, in this session. So a very busy time for all of us. This just shows you some of the nice people we work with. Someone recently pointed out to me that we have a beer company. Yes, we do. Team Whistle's one of our partners, and nothing better than cold beer after a couple hours in the saddle. Provincial advocacy means that we work primarily with these ministries and have significant relationships with all of them. In launching the new cycling strategy, and we had a session this week with Minister Murray, he reminded us there are actually 11 government ministries that are involved in this new policy process at Queen's Park, and that's significant, and you'll understand why. Cycling is all about the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, of course, health and long-term care, and tourism. Tourism in the United States is a $47 billion economic item. And in Quebec, the government there, having invested over $200 million in cycling, if you build it, they will come. They own over $130 million a year in economic impact from their investments in cycling, and people come and ride, and they spend money, and they do it a lot, which is, good food, good wine, but we've got some of that too in Ontario, and that's why we're working with Minister Chan and his colleagues across Ontario on a new Ontario bicycling route. This photo is a little hard to see, but on the left-hand side, you'll see three members of the legislature: Mike Cole, Eglinton Lawrence, Catherine Fife, Kitchener-Waterloo, and of course Norm Miller, whom all of you would know. And these are the chairs of our all-party cycling caucus that we announced at our bike summit. And they are working with the Minister Murray right now to navigate the cycling policy that we launched at the end of August. And that was a recent reception we had with our youth bike summit, which we recently had at Queen's Park. So they are very much involved, as are we, in the new cycling strategy for Ontario, Cycle On. Some of you may have heard of it, some of you not. It's the first cycling update in 21 years. The last premier that actually was involved in a cycling strategy was Barrie, and he's retired now, so I guess that tells you something. 21 years is a long time for a policy vacuum to develop, and when we started our work in 2007, it became abundantly clear that our province needed one, so we got to work. There you see that 2 provinces in Canada that have done a lot better than we have in terms of government investment and provincial action. Quebec and BC, of course, and it was recognized by many people, including the Ontario coroner in his report last year. I sat on that review, that Ontario needed a cycling strategy. So we worked 5 years with 5 ministers, and we finally launched it this year. Hallelujah. It was a bit like giving birth, I'll tell you. The number 5 is some magic, I think, because here's the strategic directions that are contained in the strategy. It's available online. It's all about the things that all of you will understand. Healthy, active, and prosperous communities, the built environment, how we live, how we attract people to our communities, and how people folks want to live in Barrie because you have a great tax base, you have a quality of life that's second to none, and cycling and walking and bikeability and walkability are a big piece of that. So all of these pieces come together in the strategy, and of course the overarching vision is that Ontario will be the most bicycle-friendly province in the country. So next steps, now that the strategy is launched, we need some action plans, and we're working in a very focused way on 2 important things. The minister is on schedule to come to speak at the summit here in November, so you'll have the opportunity, and I hope you'll come, to ask him some questions about the possibility of infrastructure funding for active transportation in the next budget. So we're in a minority parliament, of course, so where that goes is anybody's guess, but I know he's determined, and he's been talking to AMO about it. And modernizing our Highway Traffic Act is also very important to us. Very briefly, just to sort of give you a sense of who we are and what we do have a very active political network across our province, and we've developed networks and folks in over 25 ridings who talk regularly to their MPPs, and we're very proud of that. Little polling for you, because it sort of gives you a picture and a snapshot of where we are. The interest and support in cycling is on the upswing, and there's a growing support for a wide variety of measures and an emerging consensus that government should play a role, and in particular the provincial government, in making cycling happen more often. Earlier I talked about 600,000 people riding every day. Well, 4.5 million Ontarians are riding at least once a month. They're going into the garage, they're getting their bicycle out, and they're going to school, or they're going to church, or they're riding recreationally, and they're getting on the paths and the roadways just because they want to. And that's a number I like to talk about the pent-up demand. Actually, 69% of Ontarians say they want to ride more. That won't surprise you either. And that's up from 53% in just 2 years. So people want to ride more, they want more facilities, they understand that things like paved shoulders and bike lanes are really important, and that the province should be getting our kids walking and cycling to school like we did. And these are the things that are happening in the conversations we're having at the province. So when we asked people what specifically should the province do, well, people told us. 73%, and these are nice numbers, said, yeah, long-term transit plan, and Barrie has a GO train station, and getting people to and from GO actively is a good thing. Investing in infrastructure, and creating some funding specific to the needs of cyclists. And it's not just about cyclists, actually, and that's why CAA is such an important partner to us, because creating roads that are safe for cyclists make them safer for everybody. And as I often say to people, the bike in front of you is the car that isn't. I want to talk quickly about the Bicycle Friendly Community Program. As many of you may know, members of council, Barrie has applied to the Bicycle Friendly Community Program, and we're just finishing our feedback report to you now. I think you've invested in Communities in Bloom, so you understand what a marketing program is. Well, this is substantially different from that, although I like to use the example oftentimes. It's free. Did I mention it's no cost? And it also allows you to really market yourself as a bicycle-friendly community community, which is a really good thing. And you get a substantive report back from us on what you should do next. And these are some of the nice people that work with us to make it happen. So far in Ontario, since we launched the program in 2010, we've got 53% of our population now living in a bicycle-friendly community, so Barrie can't be too far behind. And of course, I like to talk about these kinds of award programs as being a celebration of success and a platform for change. So what does this program do for a municipality? It provides recognition and promotion, of course, civic pride. Here's a picture of the town of the Blue Mountains, which is a bronze bicycle-friendly community. And here's Mississauga, of course. There's 4 levels to the program. We launched our first gold at AMO this year. Ottawa's now a bicycle-friendly gold. And any of you that have cycled in Ottawa know why that is. And Mayor Watson was quite excited to get his award, as you can imagine. The 5 E's of a bicycle-friendly community are pretty clear and pretty simple. And we look forward to working with Barrie to give you your feedback and take you to the next level. The power of the application is reviewed by a significant panel of experts that we've put together, really smart people, planners, engineers, city officials from across the province that give of their time and help us to do this. So really what we're seeing here is it's growing momentum. So just coming to the last piece now, here are the nice people and the folks that are helping. Your logo is there, of course. Put this symposium on. What is it about? It's 2 things. It's November 13th and 14th, of course. On the 13th, we're calling it a decision makers dinner, and that's where we'd really like you folks to join us. We've invited the minister. It's in his calendar, and Glenn will come and talk to you about what the province is doing, and you'll have the opportunity to speak with him about cycling, and it's for officials and senior staff. So it's a chance for government folks to sit in a room, to have time with the minister, and to ask him questions about things like paved shoulders, why the Ontario cycling strategy was designed as it is, why there aren't more paved shoulders in our province, and of course we've invited Norm Miller, who we work with very closely. Our friend Dave Cheslevich, who's the former mayor of Madison, is coming. He was re-elected on a cycling platform. Madison is one of the most bicycle-friendly cities in the United States, and significantly they get much more snow than we do. And if you can believe it, yes, it's true, they plow the arterials, they plow the bike paths before the arterials every snowy morning in Madison. Can you believe it? Yes, it's true. And the world keeps on spinning. Can't believe it, but it's true. And Dave will talk about that and much more. So he's an extremely, extremely competent speaker and just a great leader in this area. So you'll have a chance to talk to some really nice and pretty smart people, and we hope you will join us. The symposium the following day, all of this takes place in Aurelia, of course, is mostly for staff, but we'd welcome you as well. And who should attend? Well, the obvious disciplines of planning, engineering, public works, parks and recreation, and once again, former Mayor Cheslevich. And many of you will know Councillor Diane Freeman from Waterloo, I like to call her a triple threat. She's the former head of PEO, she's an engineer, she's a city councillor, and she's a daily commuter cyclist. So, and she's going to talk about her community and how they've been able to do some work in her ward that won an FCM award for sustainability. So we think a good agenda. We hope you will join us. I've said a lot and I'm out of breath, Your Worship. Thank you for your apt attention. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. First of all, I was just looking at my schedule for the symposium. Thank you very much. Councillor Nuttall, start with you.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you for your presentation. So I guess my one question is, and I've in the past moved some items related to bike paths being put in on roads. Do you have a recommendation in terms of what types of roads should be converted into bicycle-friendly conditions in terms of reducing lanes and increasing bike lanes? Is there some sort of like criteria that you deal with, or?
Through you, Your Worship. I will answer this in the following way, and all the planners and engineers will breathe a sigh of relief, because I'm not a planner or an engineer, but yes, I can talk to you ad infinitum about communities across the country and across North America that have done road diets, which is what I think you're asking about, taking a road from 4 lanes to 2, for example. And just as an enticement, thank you for asking that question, just as an enticement to come to our symposium, Councillor Freeman on the 14th will be talking about the project that they did, and I can put you in touch with her in in her ward in Waterloo, where they took a very busy arterial, Davenport Road in Waterloo, and took it from 4 lanes to 2, and the remarkable paradigm shift that they've seen in that neighborhood, and the increase in accessibility for people in wheelchairs, for those who, it's just been an absolute game changer. It's calmed the traffic down, it's added livability to the neighborhood, and the number of cycling collisions has dropped dramatically because they put on-road bike lanes in. So there's tons of good examples like that. You don't have to go to Copenhagen or Amsterdam, which are both fabulous places, and I've been to both, to have the kind of cycling culture that's possible. They're doing it all across North America. I hope that helps. I'm happy to follow up on email.
Absolutely,
and
I just to recognize staff, I think staff are coming forward with some movement in terms of multiple streets. I know in Ward 10, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be around the new South End, as I'll call it.
Yes.
And trying to provide pathways from the annexed lands just outside of the old boundary right throughout the city. So I think we're on board with this. It's just a matter of instituting it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Nuttall. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. Well, thank you very much for the presentation. After listening to it and going through it, I was wondering if there's part of the strategy deals with cycling safety. There seems to be always quite often a conflict between cyclists and automobiles, and I wonder if that's built into your strategy somewhere.
Through you, Your Worship. Great question. Safety is the bedrock through which, and the lens through which most of these conversations are taking place. I have a sad story to tell, but a happy ending. My husband was an OPP officer, and he was killed riding his bike in 2006, about 10 minutes from our home in the Halton Hills, training for a triathlon, hit by a careless driver. So, I mean, I was married to a police officer, so who was a road officer and was on, served the public for over 25 years. So I understand the road safety conversation, and of course, I'm very much imbued in the safety piece. We changed the Highway Traffic Act after he was killed because of the circumstances. So yes to all of that. Yes to our relationship with the CAA. Yes to work that we're doing on the cycling education side. Having sat on the coroner's review, 14 of the recommendations, 4 of them had to deal with education, and I leapt for joy at every single one of those, because as someone who's a certain age, I don't know about you, but I remember Elmer the safety elephant. I remember getting cycling education at school. I remember being taught in school, and I've had excellent conversations with both the education minister and our current and past transportation minister about bringing cycling into the curriculum. That's a longer term objective in my view. What we need is a new cycling education program, because we stopped teaching people how to ride a bike in a systematic way about 30 years ago, and you get out of things what you put into them. If you don't make the effort, and if we don't as a society teach our children and teach folks how to ride a bike safely, we shouldn't expect them to absolutely know. And so but infrastructure is important too. I think the two things are critically tied. And motorist education, which we're working on too. Sorry for the long answer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Other questions? One myself, and I think we here in the city have we have obvious assets to offer cyclists aside from our waterfront paths and a beautiful natural setting. We also have the surrounding rural community, which is quickly the destination for anybody who wants to get out on any kind of substantive leisure ride or sports, training, that sort of thing. And I've noticed the increase in volume. I mean, all you have to do is drive through Oro-Medonte, in particular Springwater to the north of us, but Innisfil as well, and you notice additional cyclists on the road. The safety issue is such a big thing, and it is, I think, particularly more difficult in a rural cross-section where you've got traffic that should be doing 80, that's often maybe doing a little bit more than that, and cyclists trying to share the road in those settings. And I've often thought one of the things that we need to be doing is providing as many opportunities closer to home for people to be able to leisure ride, and ideally grade separated, because, or not just grade separated, but separated from the road on paths, dedicated cycling paths where that's possible. One of the huge strengths we've got, again, in our community is green corridors, a number of streams that feed into the bay where there is land, EP land that we own, trails that exist in there that may just need an upgrade for cycling. So that was a very long preamble to my question, which is Ottawa just got to be a gold community. You showed a picture of a separate pathway through parks. Is that one of the things that you promote, or that if we want to be a higher level, a higher standard in this program, is that the kind of priority we need to be pursuing?
Thank you. Excellent question. When I think about Barrie, and since we're just on the cusp of giving you our feedback from your application, you're almost a bronze. You're not quite there yet, and I think you're inching your way. Well, you're about to take some big steps forward with your transportation master plan. I know that there'll be active transportation master plans embedded in that. You know the old saying, fail to plan, plan to fail. So a good plan is essential. A financed plan, the city has to commit to that infrastructure piece, and it can be on road or off. But quite often, paths are fantastic, but if they don't take people downtown or to your waterfront or to the central attractions and where they want to go, lean on the citizens in your community, and you've got some great ones here and some great staff too, if I may say, to help you build a network of bike lanes. You don't have to do it all tomorrow. But you have to sort of plan out where and ask people where they want to go and study it and talk to them. Think of it if you were starting Barrie and there were no roads here, and yet you had several attractions and all you had were dirt roads. You'd talk to people about how they wanted to get there and where they wanted to go. Cycling is no different because many people use their bike as their everyday form of transportation. So yes to a network, yes to investing in infrastructure, whether it's on road or off, depends on where you want to take people and where your citizens want to go. So a good combination of both is actually really helpful. Not every city has the opportunity to do a segregated bike lane, although where you have it, it's optimal.
Great. Thank you very much. I also want to compliment you on your strategy of forming an all-party committee at Queen's Park, because, boy, if you want to get anything done at the moment, it's got to be an all-party committee down there. But that's a great approach, and it's great to see all three parties supporting it. And the other comment I wanted to make is to thank Rob Meyer, who's here tonight from the Barrie Cycling Club. I know him. He's an incredible champion for cycling in Barrie. Yeah. I know there's a whole organization there, but he's just absolutely tireless in pushing us, pushing everybody else to make Barrie more bicycle friendly. So I want to thank you, Rob, while you're here tonight for your work. There's been a lot of work done, I know. Little things like we've got bike racks on buses now. We finally just got rack and roll. We finally have bike lockers and in racks and a few other important places, but a long way to go. And the nice thing, music to council's ears on a night when we're also debating budget, is a lot of this infrastructure is not expensive. A lot of the little things we can do at relatively low cost can make a huge benefit. So we're looking forward to seeing that response. Thank you for coming tonight. It was a great presentation.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Pleasure.